Evening, I am KJ Meso from Bachelor of Elementary Education 1CN. So, tonight I am going to discuss about the the lessons I've learned with the subject entitled the contemporary world. So let's start. So there are six lessons that our teachers have taught us. So let's start with number one. So the number one lesson is it's all about the introduction to globalization. So this lesson has taught us that there are a lot of definitions that globalization has, but it also it also focuses on the two aspect, which is the positive aspect that gives an insight about the examples that helps to increase the economy. On the other hand, the negative side explains that globalization is only for the rich and help the poor poorer as it gives injustice and inequality. So, let's move on with the second one, which is the structures of globalization. So, the structures of globalization, this one talks about the components that globalization has. So, without this component, the globalization will probably sink. Okay, so let's start. Um, there are three components of globalization or the structures of globalization, which are the economy globalization or the economic globalization, cultural social globalization, political globalization. So the structures of globalization focuses on that three components. Let's continue with the number three, which is the worlds of religions. Okay, so this lesson has taught us about the geography. Okay, it in this lesson it focuses on the power of geography. Okay, so there are um, and it also focuses on the north and south, entitled Global Divides, the North and the South. So I will introduce you the four world model. So the first one is the first world. It refers to the developed and capitalist industrial countries roughly. So the countries that belong here are North America, Western Europe, Japan, and Australia. The second world refers to the former communist socialist. So the countries that belong to second world are Russia, Eastern Europe, and China, and some of the third states. Third world, it is the third world is the countries are identified as suffer from high infant mortality, low economic development, high levels of poverty, low utilization of natural resources, and heavy dependence on industrialized nations. And sadly, we belong to this third world country. And the last one is the third world nations. So this one is they are economic dependent on the developed countries and are generally characterized as poor with unstable governance. Okay, let's continue with lesson 4, which is a world of ideas. So this lesson talks about the transmission of ideas, meanings, and values around the world in such a way to extend and intensify social realization. relation. So in this lesson, it is more focused on the media, such as the mass media and the global media culture, and how the forms of information communicated to large groups of people, from a handmade sign to an international news network. Okay, let's continue with number 5. Lesson 5 is entitled Global Population and Mobility. So this lesson talks about the global city, the global demography, and the global migration. So it says here that a city is a primary node in the global economic network. So this lesson is all about the movement of people. Okay, let's move on with the last lesson, which is the lesson 6, entitled Towards a Sustainable World. Okay, so this lesson taught us about the way of how to sustain our living through economic, environment, and the community. So this lesson also has taught us to improve the lifestyles and well-being, and so that we can preserve the natural resources and economics. So the things that I've learned throughout this lesson is that it gives us the insights about how globalization works in our economy, our country, and in applying these lessons that I've learned, I will just pick some of the lessons to apply in my daily life, such as the the mass media, as mass media has gives us a lot of comfort through technology, such as communicating with other people. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.